buys organic products at the supermarket, rides to work on a bike, and his mates use green electricity. But is that really sustainable living? Let's go back to the beginning. Even in the 18th century, people were interested in the environment. For example, Karl von Karlowitz realized that you shouldn't cut down more trees than will grow again to replace them. So he had recognized the basic principle of sustainability. Nowadays, sustainability is seen as a global concept. This can be explained with the help of the three-pillar model. The model is based on environmental, economic, and social considerations, which must always be regarded as belonging together. First, the environmental pillar. It includes, among other things, climate protection, which is widespread, protection of resources, and biodiversity. Also, food should be grown organically. That is, we should stop using pesticides, and farm animals should be given fodder produced on the farm. We must use natural resources more sparingly too. One of them is petrol, which we need for our...
Can the actions of one person bring upon change to our Earth? Most of us unknowingly do things that contribute to our carbon footprint. While it is sad that we have not made drastic changes earlier, it is never too late. And a simple way that you can start now is by adopting a more sustainable diet. Many of us in this group have adopted this change already, and we are determined to make more changes to live a more sustainable life. By making small adjustments to your diet, you can live a healthier and more sustainable lifestyle. In this speech, we will be covering the effects of animal agriculture, what the U.S. government should do to make these changes, and the benefits of a more sustainable diet. Achieving a healthy and sustainable food system is an urgent matter that depends on collaborative efforts from governments, the private and public sectors, as well as individuals. Supply and demand works both ways. A shift in the food production landscape depends on a shift in our diets. We must be aware that our food choices ultimately impact more than just ourselves, and primarily plant-based diets are the best for both health outcomes and the environment. In the end, what's good for the planet is good for us too. This is a direct quote from the Harvard Nutrition Source on sustainability. For the generation that we live in, the word sustainability is not uncommon, and most of us probably have an idea of what it means to be sustainable. One definition from the Harvard Nutrition Source on sustainability states that being sustainable is the avoidance of the depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance. Sustainability is difficult to describe because it can mean many different things based on context. Another definition for the word that I believe is a little bit easier to understand comes from the IISD, or the International Institute for Sustainable Development, which states that sustainable development meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. Basically, what this means is that we as a generation should be doing everything that we can to keep ourselves functioning, healthy, and satisfied without taking away vital resources that will be used by the next generation. We can all argue that our contributions to lessening our carbon footprint, and say that we're doing all that we can. The reality is that there's always more that we can do to cut back on our waste of natural resources. And even though diet is what we will be focusing on today, it is not the only way to make your life and contribution more sustainable. The term carbon footprint is another one that gets tossed around often. I'm sure some of us even mention it from time to time. But do we actually know what a carbon footprint is and what it means to lessen our own? According to a resource for sustainability, timeforchange.org, your carbon footprint is defined as this: the total amount of greenhouse gases produced to directly and indirectly support human activities, usually expressed in equivalent tons of carbon dioxide or CO2. Sustainability is a multifaceted issue in which the food production system and our diets play a crucial role. Each individual can make changes to their own life by adjusting their diet. Big corporations will be the ones who can make the biggest impact, which is what Amy will be talking about now.
One of the human activities that is most unsustainable to our planet is the animal agriculture and live production system that produces our meat. The animal agriculture system, releases a great amount of greenhouse gases that is unsustainable and constantly damaging our environment. In fact, it is one of the main contributors that is releasing the greenhouse gases into our atmosphere. According to a 2013 article from the South African Journal of Science, environmental organizations such as the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change has stated that an estimate of 14% of global greenhouse gas emissions are contributed by the livestock production, while the Food and Agriculture Organization estimates livestock production to be contributed to 18% of greenhouse gas emissions. Because our planet's population is increasing quickly, we can also assume that the demand in food production will also increase. So therefore, according to a Food and Agriculture Organization, the demand for food, wool, and fiber will have to increase 70% by 2050. Therefore, unless our diet practices change, livestock production will also need to increase by the year 2000 by significantly over the next 40 years, and greenhouse gases will also be released more in the atmosphere. As more greenhouse gas emissions are trapped in our atmosphere, climate change has also been on the rise, and it has been negatively affecting our environment. There is no way to know what will happen in the future, but we can expect the worst to come. According to an article from the National Geographic, the global average surface temperature has increased by more than 1.6 degrees Fahrenheit since 1906. Because of the warmer temperature, we have been experiencing extreme climate change events such as frequent droughts, heavy storms, floods, and wildfires. In addition, we have also been experiencing rising sea levels, melting glaciers, and endangered life species. An example of this would be the Adelie penguins population in Antarctica, where the population has decreased by about 90% due to the melting ice because of warming temperature. In addition, certain regions around the world are experiencing severe droughts, more frequent wildfires, fewer crops, and shortage of drinking water. Another example of climate change would be in Montana's Glacier National Park, where glaciers have declined by 150 in 1910 to fewer than 30 glaciers in the present day. According to a 2019 article from Time magazine, the climate change has increasingly become a concerning issue, which has forced many 2020 presidential candidates to focus on climate change plans for their presidential campaigns. This is because the U.S. has been experiencing climate change events and extreme weather conditions, such as in Florida, have been experiencing rising sea levels, and in California, we have been suffering from frequent wildfires. In addition, in Iowa, the annual level of precipitation of the first half of this decade alone is up to 36 inches, compared to the 20th century past of 33 inches every decade of the annual level precipitation. The increased precipitation and the extreme rain has caused many floods and has put at least an estimate of 100,000 acres of farmland underwater and has costed farmers tens of millions of dollars.
When I made the switch to becoming a pescatarian, I was unaware of the benefits of the diet. A pescatarian is someone who adds fish and seafood to an already vegetarian diet. There are many people who choose to forgo meat and poultry but still eat some fish. Some people choose to add fish to a vegetarian diet so they can get the health benefits of a plant-based diet, including a lower risk of obesity and chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes. According to a study conducted by the Cancer Epidemiology Unit, following environmental objectives by replacing animal-sourced foods with plant-based ones was particularly effective in high-income countries for improving nutrient levels, lowering premature mortality, a reduction of up to 12% with complete replacement, and reducing some environmental impacts, in particular to the greenhouse gas emissions, with which would have reductions up to 84%. There are also significant trends towards lower saturated fat, higher fiber, and higher fruit and vegetable intake, but also a higher intake of sugars as well, as the quantity of animal-based products in a diet decreases. In this research study, previous analyses of the same cohort have also demonstrated lower body mass index, also known as BMI, and fewer ischemic heart disease events in diet groups with lower intakes of animal products. Improved cardiovascular outcomes for vegetarian diets have also been demonstrated in meta-analysis of cohort studies conducted in Western populations. And in these pictures are just some examples of what a pescatarian eats. Usually it includes fish, fruit, and high protein fruits such as avocado, grapefruit. Pescatarians also have a lot of nuts in their diet as well as the veggies shown. Making the switch may not be easy, but you will find it to be worth it. At first, I found it difficult to fight off my cravings when it came to meat, especially since my family and friends would be eating it when we had meals together. I would recommend starting this diet off by giving yourself 1 day a week where you can eat meat and then continue the week and remain a pescatarian diet on all the other days. This way, you can slowly lay off the meat and you will find yourself enjoying many other delicious dishes that do not contain meat. As time passed, I found myself feeling less sluggish and more awake. My body felt cleaner in a sense. Choosing plant-based foods is an important part of the equation as well. If you want to eat a more sustainable diet, look for foods that are local, organic, and low on the food chain. The higher percentage of your protein intake that comes from plant foods, the more earth-friendly and healthful your diet will be. And supporting local businesses is also better for the environment as well. So not only will eating more sustainably be better for the environment, but it will make you feel better in your own body and do wonders for the environment as well.
It is crucial that we slow down on the consumption of red meat because they contribute, and I quote from the Journal of Cleaner Production, 15 to 30% of greenhouse emissions that are from the food sector. As stated in the Nutritional Bulletin's article, Sustainable Eating 1 steak of red meat is equivalent to releasing hundreds of grams of carbon into the air, which is equivalent to driving a few miles in your car. We can mitigate these emissions through diets such as veganism or vegetarian, as stated before, because the foods that are in those diets contribute the least amount of carbon to the carbon footprint. Or if a thought of going meatless completely scares you, like myself, and is inconceivable, then there is the Mediterranean diet, which consists of moderate amounts of poultry and fish, plenty of lentils, olive oil, and legumes. Well, in the book, The Mediterranean Diet, the author points out that if everyone in the world were to be on the Mediterranean diet, global warming could be reduced up to as much as 50% by 2050. While this may be feasible for some, the best advice I can give to most people is to slow down on the consumption of red meats and transfer the rule of thumb of 8 ounces of red meat to 4 ounces per serving per person. As the human population grows bigger and bigger year by year, and I quote by Global Land Use Implications of Dietary Trends, the world will need to produce 70% more food by 2050 for the increasing demand. This means if we do not eat more sustainably and change our diets, we will be, in best case scenario, fighting over food, and worst case scenario, starving and slowly overheating. If you choose not to believe in global warming like some people in power that we have in office right now, then you should reduce your red meat consumption because it and I quote from a Toronto Star, prevent a number of major chronic diseases such as certain cancers and heart diseases. Like Angelica stated earlier, transitioning isn't hard, or isn't that easy as you'd want it to be, and some of us do have cravings, but many of us do find like certain ways that you can relate it and pinpoint it down to why you would like to eat more sustainably. For me, it was, I felt like I had a weight problem a few years ago, and I stopped eating a lot of red meat because it is very high in fats, and I lost over 6 months 45 pounds and contributed to a smaller carbon footprint, not even knowingly.
This all might sound hard and too much, but believe me, taking baby steps towards your goal will help you a lot. Our community's carbon footprint continues to increase day by day, and as our group mentioned, one way to reduce it is through our diet. According to the article of linking individuals' ecological footprint to their subjective well-being. Switching to a more environmental friendly diet creates a win-win situation, as these actions decrease the ecological footprint while increasing reporting levels of well-being. As we have a saying in English, one stone, two birds. We discipline our eating habits, and it not just helps our health, but it also benefits our environment that we live in. One way to make this make your eating habits sustainable is to have a schedule. To have this schedule, we might consider to have more energy of fruits and dairies instead of meat. As stated in the article of a healthy diet of a greater proportion of energy from fruits and dairy instead of a higher proportion of meat, fish, poultry, and rice, pasta can supply a recommended dietary allowances while reducing water use. To make this change in your life, I have flyers for all of you that I will pass out after this speech that can help you create a healthy diet schedule for you as soon as today. Don't forget, having a sustainable diet will not just make the earth a better place for the upcoming generation, but will also give you a healthier life.